Hello and welcome to another Best Junglers episode, the first of Season 15 on patch 25.s1.1, and we're just gonna call it 15.1 because we're normal. Here we have feats of strength, we have Atakan, we have all the jungle changes and macro changes that have come through for this year. I've made a video on that already, but in this one we're going to look at the best junglers that you can use to absolutely take over in the first few patches of this season. It's going to be crazy because the meta is crazy, it's all about fisting and fighting. But are there champions that are good overall, low and high MMR that also scale? And if you want the shortcuts for jungle tactics to be able to actually use these champions to climb, you absolutely must head to Virkayu.gg. Not only do I have a free jungle improvement resource, I also have a dedicated program with jungle video courses, jungle coaching classes, a jungle VOD library. Courses will be prepped for Season 15 as soon as the changes are stable. All the fundamentals you need for right now are available in a ridiculous amount of hours for content tailored for your MMR so you can climb to reach your peak rank, as we saw from all of those people hitting their peak dreams in Season 14 as fast as possible. So to hit your peak rank in Season 15 and jungle diff every game you play, head to the link in the description below or to Virkayu.gg. Okay, so when you don't exactly change the jungle champions very much or the early clears, you're gonna have some champions that remain, but we got a lot of new ones. However, at the top of the list is Virkayu, because apparently we can't go a single patch without him being dead and gone. Mostly because, again, we are now in this meta, and I'll talk a lot about the meta in this video, where we have a lot of pressure on first blood, first turrets, and objectives. Or you can give up the feats of strength, but then you're kind of losing a lot of inherent power from those boots later on, and you want to be able to skirmish. You want to be able to go to the Ruinous Atakan at 20 minutes, or the Voracious Atakan, we do prefer the Ruinous one, and ultimately win that fight, because as Virkayu, even if you say don't get feats of strength with the bonus boots, you're still going to get a few objectives, and you're still going to be strong. With all the roses you can pick up, you can go from like 19 adaptive force, take the Ruinous Atakan and go to 30 plus. A Virkayu in that case, or any champion in that case, is going to absolutely love that experience and that adaptive force boost, specifically when you've got an ultimate that works on missing HP. But it's mostly that because of all the tension and the snowballing mechanics in this game at the moment, again, always early season seems to be early game focused, Virkayu can snowball intelligently, and even if he doesn't really get going, as you know, all you gotta have is one reset fight and you dominate each and every skirmish. The idea, my friends, is to get those objectives, is to get the first turret, forget the first blood that is a coin flip reality anyway, and once you've done that, control the narrative, control the flow, get the Herald at 16, and really force the issue a little bit because you do want the Ruinous Atakan for all of the bonus stats to the monsters you're securing. And from there, it's a standard gap close. Instead of 20 minutes Baron, it's 25. Take it, close it, win it. Also, we're gonna go to Lee Sin because, you know, these are the two best and most popular design junglers in the game, and they both enjoy running Conqueror and Booties and Cosmic Insight. They have not been affected by the removal of Eyeball Collection, which is tragic and horrific and heinous. But they can still build their regular itemization. Nothing has changed in that regard. They have the same versatility and the same amount of agency on the map. And again, while we do want a full clear still to control our own experience, you still want to have the option and understanding to map read and F key, rotate, and react to the fiesta that you're gonna see. The objectives in the mid game are gonna feel a lot more natural to you, which means you're gonna have a lot more flow to the advantages you get and accrue in the early game. This is a meta where Lee Sin absolutely thrives, and because you've now delayed the second grub take, he delayed the Herald, there's less stress on exiting laning phase too soon. You can actually enjoy a bit more of that laning phase with your lead as an earlier game jungler, and snowball with a more pronounced punch into the endgame. And Wukong, again, another one, same stick. They gave him that cooldown buff a while back, and since then he's been really broken. Trinity Force specifically in that build, the Sheen bonk, the DPS bonk, the health bonk, and the reset bonk on that plus map mobility, the double ult knockup. Yeah, basically everything in his kit is kinda nutty, and he stat checks and just defeats almost anybody in the game. Really powerful champion, really strong at everything that Virkayu and Lee Sin want to do. Remember though, you can obviously do a red side quadrant or a 3 camper into a gank if first blood has not been secured and you have a very gankable lane. You can secure that with Wukong. You can't secure that with a lot of the champions on this list. But the sheer amount of roses you can get and petals you can get to stack the adaptive force on Wukong with the Trinity Force Sundered Sky build, goodness gracious, is it strong. And I already did a couple coaching sessions to kind of prep for these videos, really get a sense of what people are seeing in different MMRs, and Wukong was by far one of the biggest abominations. Skarner remains the abomination that no one really wants to play, but you end up having to play. Again, this rework complete and utter failure, but as a stat-checking tank behemoth, he's one of the few that has not been hurt and gutted by their hard steel nerfs. That's because his kit is inherently well, unkillable, but also does ridiculous amounts of max HP damage, they could lower that a little bit as well. Regardless, the Unending Despair swap to have dual resistances from just armor to armor and magic resist really does help his sort of Heartsteel spike into some resistances. Steric's Gauge is obviously still good as well. While his full clear is slower, we're not really looking to AFK farm and chill. We do want to force the action. We do want to use our E to make those ganks happen, to win these skirmishes. His kit and his damage is still obnoxious, and because you're gonna get that benefit on those boots, you get that shielding on the boots that you buy when you get Merc Treads or Ninja Tabby, plated steel caps for the newer players. It's just something that makes him even more unkillable while his damage will remain the same, because even though Heartsteel has its damage nerfed, even though Skarner has had his damage nerfed, it's still more damage than anybody can actually deal with, plus CC for about 14,000 years. Now, Warwick is an interesting one because they did hotfix nerf him over the break because he was a little bit too strong. However, the changes have kept him in the meta. Very interesting. His play rate has once again dipped down, but that is an overreaction from people looking at the hotfix nerfs in December. Currently though, if you imagine how I've told you to play Warwick since 2017 when it was just me and King Styx kind of making content on him from the jungle position for high elo, I've always enjoyed a bit of AD in the build, but not necessarily through cringe itemization that makes no sense. That is way too common these days, but more so through the use of something like Eyeball Collection and Ultimate Hunter that gives you extra dynamic mobility, extra dynamic auto attack AD boosts to everything you do. Well, now you don't have Eyeball anymore, so I can afford to just go Celerity Water Walking default or whatever I want to go and run around very quickly. But the roses give you that effect. You see, Eyeball is gone, but it does get replaced by everybody getting a free Eyeball collection. That doesn't help snowballing assassins who need that early on, or champions who need that playstyle. But what it does do is help champions, as you've seen in this list so far, like Warwick, who can already get ahead early, control objectives, 5-minute dragon, 6-minute grubs, next minute dragon, now you already can force the first turret, if you get first blood, even better, and you're looking at all those roses under your control through map control because you have the lead, and then you're looking at a ruinous Atacan even more so. Warwick has an attack speed passive and a healing passive, so every auto attack gets benefit from that adaptive force. Strong, 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 in addition to the fact that his core itemization is still strong, strong, strong. Nocturne is another one for exactly the same reasons as Warwick. He is dominant. He has not really changed. He was strong before. He's strong now. His itemization was strong before. It's strong now. Yes, he is more of a clearer, quote unquote, but with the return of lethal tempo, he can still go fisting pretty nicely. Don't always recommend it, but Conqueror will do you fine as well. Where his strength comes in as someone who's typically viewed as a level 6 spiking jungler, even if it's not always true, is that when there is a skirmish and a fiesta and things are going on a lot, hey, I have Ultimate Hunter, I have Hexplate, I can ult whenever I need to rotate. And basically that's what you're going to be doing. Diana, on the other hand, is more of a prototypical farmer. However, most of you have seen in the latest Diana content over the last couple months, hey, why can't we just, red quadrant gank? Why can't we just snowball our power significantly harder because we're Diana, and when we're ahead, everybody dies? And it's very true. Everybody does die, and she's very good at it. So if you can afford yourself the ability, intelligent sequencing, intelligent level 6, have a few early ganks as necessary, not a lot of champions out-stat check her early, and because turrets have a lesser resistance now, if you can get a few grubs and do some split pushing or ganks and pushings, first turret should always be yours. And likewise, free adaptive force equals dead people with your full combo. Karthus, on the other hand, is not your prototypical jungler on this S tier list, and that's because he is not one of these ganking skirmishes fiesta lovers. The benefit for Karthus comes in the new rune, Axiom Arcanist. This is going to do more damage from your ultimate plus healing and shielding, and give you a cooldown refund. Basically, if you're Karthus and you hit it perfectly, and you stack it perfectly, you should have your ult up more. Not only that, you're going to be able to stack your Dark Harvest more. Not only that, you are pretty good when it comes to having a small advantage. So your sequencing remains the same, your ultimate gets you back in the game. If you can stack those roses and a rune as Atacan, your entire kit just absolutely slingshots and full damage. You build exactly the same way, it's just the nature of the meta allows you, because no one's really focusing on you, you can sequence, counter jungle, use your ultimate to counter gank, stack it up, use it more, and then just get a boost from the roses and the ruinous Atacan on the map. Especially if you have a few fire dragons, maybe a fire soul, and you get that 25% bonus damage buff. Also, while you're not always inclined to get first blood, you probably won't get it. Objective control can be very easily handled by yourself, and first turret again with the easy shoves. So if you get the feats of strength, that's also a boost to your penetration from the enhanced soak boots. Kind of a nutty meta, let's jump on over to the A tier page. First up, Nunu and Willem, also Axiom Arcanist, pretty damn good. Extra shielding, right? Extra damage, right? Extra refund, right? His ultimate in terms of dynamic, disruption, engage, zoning, and basically assassination is as it always has been. now with extra. Also with the Nunu and Willem, what you gotta factor in is that this champion is amazing in rotational skirmishing metas, where you need to gank, but you can also farm in sequence and gank intelligently. I do recommend the balanced playstyle, right? Get your 7-8 CS per minute, have your ganks, and the biggest thing about this meta that you've noticed from this video, objective control. This will give you first turret, this will give you feats of strength, and because a lot of these champions thrive on Fiestas, Chaos, and ganking, you're more likely to get a Ruinous Atacan, which equals Nunu and Willem just absolutely dominating the game. Of course, as a reminder, please go Leandries into tank, please stop building the full AP nonsense, the win rate is so much worse, it is depressing to look at. However, obviously, Axiom Arcanist is a personal choice, there's a lot of different runes, all the regular rune variations that you can still go, including if you just want to stay going Nimbus Cloak, for example. Next up, we have Talent. So on the A tier page, I'm going to throw you some curveballs, only because their win rate data looks absolutely primed and juicy. Even if the player rate data is a little lower, it's so good that you cannot ignore it, and it warrants you guys actually playing it, because all the regular people like your Kanes and Echoes, while they can function, they're just really not performing objectively well right now. OTPs will be okay, but for the general recommendation of best junglers, no. Whereas Talon, yes. Why? Well, it's a skirmishing meta with a lot of rotation, and, you know, he does parkour over walls. So if you can't sequence and rotate and get fed in this meta on Talon, you're never gonna get fed on Talon. This is perfect for him. And he's the one assassin who's not reliant on going for eyeball collection and whining about it. He can just go Conqueror, as he should be doing anyway, and people die. And you don't die, because your ult lets you get in and get out, and your E lets you get everywhere. There's been a lot of delusion about the weakness of Talon. In the last 6 months of last year, he was a dominant jungler if you knew exactly how to apply the champion. Now, it's less required because the meta kind of suits you even better, so go ahead and play Talon. Kindred is another one that enjoys snowballing metas greatly. Obviously, with the mark system and the way you need to play Kindred, that's how you have to play in order to actually carry with the champion. We have the Trinity Force variations, we have the Kraken Force variations. Pick your poison, pick your style, pick how you enjoy the field. This has always been the way of the champion. But Collectors and Infinity Edges and even Wit's Ends and the Black Cleavers, these all still are fantastic. You have current HP, you have missing HP, you have an invincible ultimate, and the thing about Kindred is you snowball through your jungle skill. Yes, you do not snowball inherently by just existing. So a good Kindred, a good jungler, is going to be snowballing, and in a game state where they just added feats of strength, Atacans, objective ping-ponging, you're basically getting a free pass to say, hey, if you're a good Kindred and a good jungler, you're gonna get all the systems to close and win games. Much like Xin Zhao, I didn't really want to put him on this list because I know most of you see this and you're like, I'm not gonna play him, he's boring. I agree, but if there's a lane state or a map state where you can red quadrant gank, he's one of the most guaranteed first blood ganking junglers in the game. So less focused on more the objectives and turrets, and more focused on, getting all three, for example. Not only that, but your Eclipse, your Sundered Sky, your Sterix Gauge, your regular fighter itemization, very dynamic, I know, is all great and was the same. But again, the focus here is on, can I get first blood? Can I suppress the enemy jungler? Can I control roses? Can I snowball? Every jungler on this list has some mechanic that allows them to snowball really hard until 20 minutes or slingshot at 20 minutes like the Karthus. Now for Udyr, you might be saying, whoa, how does that work for him? He's a farmer, right? Well, yeah, but you can go tank and AP, but you can also, of course, go full AD. You have two options there. But in general, the playstyle is more, hey, can I get feats of strength through my map control objectives in first turret? Yes. Can I then upgrade my Swifties boots to something that's really, really strong and then just run at everybody and win? Well, yes you can. And if you're thinking, hey, that doesn't sound complicated, because it's not. He is a little bit tricky to kind of get good at. He gives you the false sense that he's easy to play. Remember, all my difficulties in these videos are not ease of mastery, but ease of picking up and playing, because that's what a tier list is for. Hecarim, though, is easy to pick up and kind of easy to master, but there is a few tricks here where skillful Hecarims really can dominate, and I've been honest about that in the recent years when he's been changed quite a bit. His win rate data is not that good. I'm putting him in this list because I like the way his rotations can merge with something like a Nocturne, but he can still play like the Udyr. So he has the ability to come out of the jungle quickly, sequence quickly, and be very, very active on the map. You might see some Hecarims force it a bit too much, and depending on how you build, a bit more, say, assassin-y, or a bit more tanky, or a bit more supportive-y, you have to understand how different your team fighting is gonna be. Are you peeling? Are you engaging and surviving and diving? Are you assassinating and going back out and coming back in again? You do have to understand that mechanism, as always, but it does provide him the opportunity to do exactly what Nocturne wants to do, Clear, rotate, level 6, fist, get first turret, get the objectives, get feats of strength, and obviously Hecarim with feats of strength and bonus movement speed. That is pretty good, I think. Gwen, on the other hand, has only a 1 to 2% pick rate, but the win rate is obscene, 55 to 60% depending on the rank. Really powerful for absolutely every single MMR range. If you're thinking, wait, why? Well, that's again because she's really good against all the things you're most likely to face. See a lot of Lee Sins and Viego, she can do quite a lot into that. She can do really a lot into a Skarner as well. But it's more so, hey, the damage she provides, the meta she is good in, is not just an AFK farming meta. She likes to spike at 2 items and then run over the game. Doesn't that sound like, a champion that might have 2 items at 16 to 20 minutes around this new epic monster that can amplify all of the objectives she has, and if she got feats of strength, that upgrades her boots with more movement speed, more magic penetration, so she's even more sticky, she doesn't even need flash. Yeah, a 2-item Gwen at 20 minutes at this particular meta stage is a Gwen times 2, and that's why she's so strong. Good against everything, loves the snowball mechanics because it brings her late game forward, and it just provides her the extra stat boost and damage boost for her to absolutely 1v9 games with her ridiculous kit that has every stat in it. Bel'Veth, skirmishing meta, Bel'Veth, getting true form, running at people, more adaptive for snowball. Do I really need to say more about Bel'Veth? I think we all understand why she's good in this meta, yes? Anybody? We all get it? Cool! Low elo page! Warwick, Nocturne, Among Us, Viego, Briar Sucky Blood, Diana, Shyvana Dragon, and Deerface. What we have here is champions that are really good in low elo, are still good in low elo. What we have is the fact that the meta doesn't affect you in low elo as much because it's about your snowball potential, which is just, and again, no offense, not the skill that low elo junglers have yet. As you get better at it, you'll feel the effects of snowball metas more. In low elo, you still want to have your good baseline farming, good player on your ultimate, control your objectives. You can get feats of strength very easily in this MMR range, and you still need champions that can dominate the fights as necessary after 20 minutes. Yes, all of these champions here snowball very, very well, but the reason they were strong last year is the same reason they're strong this year, because the core jungle mechanics have not changed. And again, a snowballing Briar and a snowballing Shyvana, these things are kind of obnoxious in low MMR. You know this, I know this, so go and do this. And now onto the high elo page, where if you're expecting some savant level jungler that just works on high elo and nowhere else, you'd be correct, and her name is Vi. Ever since the Zeri-based pro play nerf, she's not been exactly the best. They did give her a little bit of a buff on the passive, but she's just really great on high elo for the lockdown and the skirmishing, not thriving as much in general population still, but as you can see on this list here, all of the regular suspects who are good for general are good in high MMR range. For all of the highest ranked players at this particular stage who have done their placements and are going back to high elo, Vi is the one that kind of thrives in this kind of meta too. Guaranteed lockdown. If you are remotely about to win a game, but there's one player on the enemy team who could maybe swing it, Vi's ultimate guarantees they no longer exist. Obviously, keep track of which junglers will come in and out. The Xin Chaos are going to be fine here. The Nocturne's going to serve his purpose. Gwen is fantastic in high MMR as well. But any champion that thrived on eyeball is suffering and figuring out how exactly they can get back into the meta, especially when they want to have a bit more of a calmer early phase, losing out of feats of strength, losing out of map control. This has really hurt their win rates, like your Kha'Zix's, for example. Rengar's OTPs will be okay. Rek'Sai's the one I'm a little bit surprised at the win rate data being down. I do think she will be absolutely fine though, it will offset and climb up as well. But you know where to go to stay up to date, where I will update the infographics, all of Virkayu.gg's email list. And if you want to understand how to apply the jungle changes, click the video on your screen now for the latest